the latest video, we went over AMC stock, a potential gamma squeeze, or you could call it a gamma ramp throughout the rest of this week and next week could start to unfold. Well, this comes down to the fact of recent option activity that has been very negative in AMC stock, culminating with this bounce from that 480 range that could send us as high as some say $9 per share. While that is on the table, there is external factors that are going to play a role into the next potential rally of AMC stock, such as the debt ceiling situation, the upcoming court date with AMC stock, as well as overall investor sentiment. Not to mention a collateral crisis or margin calls that could be on the near-term horizon if the markets do take a leg downward. So we're going to get into everything you guys need to know in regards to AMC stock, what happened today, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen on Friday, what the news is, and how this could all affect AMC stock. So let's get into it. If you guys have not already, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Number one, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. I want to hear your guys' opinion on all of this information. So let's get into it. First things first, AMC stock here today is seeing a welcoming bounce. That's a very positive thing. We've needed to see this for a while. After all, there has been 6 consecutive down days. And that's not a good thing, typically, when you get 6 consecutive down days. But what a lot of people fail to realize is these consecutive down days in AMC historically lead to very big rallies. We've seen this time and time again. At one point, the sellers become exhausted. And who are the sellers? They are the hedge funds. They are the people shorting the stock. They are the hedge funds going out and placing multi-million-dollar bearish bets on AMC stock. Some of these bets, most of these bets, we have covered over the last couple of days. Retail investors, by and large, they're not the ones selling the stock. You and me, we're not the majority sellers at this point. That phase has come and went. So where does this leave us currently? As we went over in the last video, there's a very real possibility of seeing a gamma ramp throughout the rest of this week into early next week. And this comes down to the option activity. There is potentially 11 million shares of AMC stock that could be purchased by market makers alone, with the calls going into the money and the puts going out of the money, if AMC stock can just make it back up to $6 per share, a level in which we were at just a couple trading days ago. 11 million shares would be almost equal to the daily volume that we have seen over the past week. That would push the stock excess of $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 per share, seeing that kind of buying pressure. So that's potentially what could happen if this bullish rally can continue. And even though you're seeing a lot of bearish option positioning here today in AMC stock, it's pretty clear. We talked about it in the last videos. Millions of dollars in single trades being placed on AMC today, being those in the money put options. A lot of them being at the $10 and the $13 puts. They are weighing down AMC. They have been weighing down AMC. But what is happening today is AMC is remaining very, very bullish. Throughout all of this negative positioning you have seen today, AMC stock is up 3.5% at the time of recording this video. Looks to close out the day on a strong note and even potentially test that 200-day or 100-day moving average by the end of the day today, or even could be in after hours. Today, you have now broken back above the 50-day moving average after closing under that the last 2 days. So it looks like the bullishness is starting to become bullish again in AMC stock. So that's kind of what is going on right now. That's what I can see play out over the next couple of trading days with AMC. Now, there's external factors such as the next court date, things we cannot foreshadow or predict that I want you guys to have a heads up about that are a possible, weighing factor on AMC, or it could be a big positive factor on AMC. It wouldn't surprise me at any moment to get the recommendation from the special mastery on what the courts should do, what the judge should do in regards to the settlement with AMC stock. Now, yes, AMC stock could be very bullish over the next couple of days, but AMC stock is not immune to market moves. Today, the Russell 2000 is up 2%. This is obviously having somewhat of a bullish effect on AMC stock. Now, the reason why the markets are higher today is that Biden and McCarthy, while they can't agree on a lot of things or most things, they do agree that the U.S. won't default as debt talks inch forward. Now, something that I don't think a lot of people have fully comprehended, people meaning investors, is that if we get a debt limit agreement, that agreement could be restrictive on the economy, on economic growth, because Republicans are dead set on seeing a lot of those green initiatives kind of come to an end with the debt ceiling agreement, right? A lot of things that are being negotiated right now have to do with spending and spending caps, and the current administration has been spending a lot of money, and that has been very stimulative to the stock market. And that could be a negative weighing factor, even if the debt ceiling does get passed. All in all, debt ceiling being passed would be a net positive for the markets, in which we are likely seeing that net positive effect here on the day-to-day. Now, I would say even more importantly than that is going to be the events of the rest of this week, specifically Fed Jerome Powell coming on Friday. Fed Jerome Powell will be giving a speech at 11 o'clock in the morning on Friday. He will be joined by former Fed Chair Ben Bernanke. He was the Fed Chair during the Great Recession. And what Powell has to say will be important. Now, what Fed speakers throughout this week have been saying, no rate cuts, possibility of a rate increase at the next meeting, and we may or may not go into recession. That's been the overarching thesis from all of these Fed speakers. Now, markets, they have not seemed to care all too much, because after all, they're all just single members. What Fed Jerome Powell says, on the other hand, will be more so closely watched by markets and reacted upon by the markets. So he will be very important. Now, coming tomorrow, you're going to get initial jobless claims and the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index that come out at 8:30 in the morning. Those are going to be the big data points of tomorrow. Now, initial jobless claims typically is not a big catalyst or not a big data point for the markets, but last week it was. And that was because you've seen the first increase to initial jobless claims, a sizable increase in a while. And this is kind of more relevant data because these are released on a week-by-week basis. And you have started to see initial jobless claims going higher. After all, employment is the last big domino to fall in this market, right? Everything has been pretty weak besides employment that continues to hit new records for the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate has not been this low since 1967, at a time where the Fed has raised interest rates 5%. That's pretty telling. So markets will react pretty negatively if we get a big increase to the initial jobless claims, as well as the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index. Last reading we got last month was negative 31.3. Every time this has went negative 30 or more, you have seen a recession. Every time, like clockwork. So that's what kind of spooked people last time around. This time around, you're expecting a negative 22 reading. So the more negative this is, the worse off. The more, less negative this is, the better off things will be. Now, on top of that, you're expecting to hear from Kamala Harris tomorrow on debt ceiling negotiations. And I think a lot of the good news is being priced in today, so I don't expect a huge reaction based off of that. I do think there's more so a risk of a downside reaction coming tomorrow based off of that, because we're expecting a deal to get done as early as this weekend. If a deal does not get done by this weekend, well, it could become a negative thing for the markets, and that could all in all affect AMC stock. Keep in mind the collateral crisis, the potential for margin calls if the markets do fall here. It could put a tamper on AMC in the short term, but I think an overall collateral crisis leading to margin calls would be a net positive for AMC for a short squeeze. So that's potentially what we have on the near-term horizon for data coming out tomorrow, as well as the big event coming on Friday, which is Fed Jerome Powell. And that will be the biggest catalyst of this week so far. So that's what we kind of have from now until the end of the week. On top of that, you're going to have earnings from Walmart tomorrow morning, and Walmart is the economy essentially. They are the consumers. So what Walmart says will be very important for the stock market, for investors trying to gauge a recession, no recession. Walmart will tell you a lot. So pay attention to that as well. Now, if we take a look at AMC stock and we get into the Ortex data, and go ahead and look at the dollar amount currently sold short in AMC stock, sitting at $641.5 million. Estimated short interest of free float at 25.05%. Free float out on loan at 32.62%. 168.5 million shares that are currently out on loan. Days to cover sitting at 5.28. Cost to borrow 108.48%. And 100% share utilization. We've seen that utilization at 100% for the last 18 months now. If we take a look over here at the estimated cost to borrow fees, cost to borrow average at 81.27%, cost to borrow max 160.5%, cost to borrow minimum at 1%. Interactive Brokers has about 200,000 shares available with a cost to borrow fee of about 65%. So you are seeing cost to borrow fees remaining very stubbornly high. These numbers are up a lot from what we have seen over the last couple of months or so, guys. So it remains a problem for the hedge funds nonetheless. Now, if we take a look at the institutional filings that are coming out, the 13F filings as of recently, you have seen a lot of bullish filings that have been released, and you continue to see that actually happening. So it doesn't look like you're getting a lot of bearish positioning in AMC stock. Nothing out of the normal that we have seen, over the last couple of months, the last year or two. I would argue you're seeing more bullish positioning from institutions as of recently. Now, if we take a look at the option activity, this does obviously went over a lot more in the last video, so definitely check that out if you have not already. In the money calls at 38,000 for this Friday. Out the money calls 345,000. In the money puts at 219,500. Out the money puts at about 300,000. So you do have a lot of option activity. There's going to be a lot of capital moving hands in AMC stock into the close of this week. Nonetheless, like I said in the beginning of this video, on a technical basis, things are looking pretty good. You're now above that 50-day moving average, which currently sits at $5.08 per share. AMC stock at $5.11 per share, up 3% here on the day. Next big level is that 100-day moving average. If you can break out above that, which is at $5.21 per share, make your way up to about $5.50 per share. The next big option expiration that could fuel a rally much higher from there. If you get to $11 per share, you're going to have a total of 11 million shares that will have to be bought by the market makers, and that could happen relatively shortly. So, guys, that is going to do it here in this video. We covered a lot of ground in a very short amount of time. Let me know if there's anything we missed, if there's anything you guys want to hear talked about, or anything else. let me know down below in the comment section. In the meantime, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. If you guys do want to come trade with me live in real time as well, link down below in the description of this video. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.